Hello everyone, thank you very much for your comments, questions, likes and your emails. I really appreciate your support. Today is Saturday, May 25th, and from today I want to give more back to the community. So I have decided to create a special video on last Saturday of every month just to cover your questions. So in simple words, it means on last Saturday of every month, I will try to answer your questions that you have asked or asking in the comment section below. And of course, I try my best to answer your questions as you ask. But sometimes there's a need to add more context, more information. And that's why I'm going to start this Q&A series. For now, this is a monthly Q&A session. But of course, I can make it weekly if there are more questions. So feel free to give me suggestions, feedback, or ask me as many questions as you have. And for now, without a delay, let me take the first question and try to answer this. The first question is, I don't have any idea about programming language, but I choose Java. But everyone says Java is very difficult. Can I start Java language first? This is a very interesting question. To answer this, let me emphasize one important point. While technically you can learn any language can be your first language, but there's an important caveat which you have to understand. So here are two cases. First case, let's say you know someone who is working with the IT industry and he is suggesting you to do this and this, learn this and this, and they will help you to get a job. Then go for it. And if you are learning just for hobby, then also go for it. But there's one more case, which is case 2. Case 2 is basically the other side of the story. If you have no reference and you are not learning just for hobby, then I think you should not learn Java as your first language. You should consider C as your first programming language. And here is why. If you have no idea in programming, it means this is your first language which you are going to learn. And the base should be solid. If base is strong, then you can make a strong building, high building on that. And that's one of the reasons I'm saying choose language C. I will encourage you to learn C. Spend at least 3 to 6 weeks to learn the fundamentals. C is mother of all languages and remain highly influential today. Many languages were directly influenced by C. For example, C++. It is an extension of C with added features such as classes, virtual functions, and more. Java. Java's syntax is largely influenced by C++, which in turn is rooted in C. Perl. Its syntax is also influenced by C, making it familiar to users with a background in C. In fact, many modern programming languages are influenced from C. Swift, released by Apple in 2014, influenced by C and Objective-C. Rust, it's directly influenced by C, and even C#, and the list goes on. But I hope you get the idea. And here is one more interesting thing. C is considered as the middle level language. It means you can write high level programs using C, but also it allows you to direct manipulation of the computer's hardware and memory. This is why many embedded systems and high performance applications are written in C. And trust me, I learned C language while I was studying in college and university. And I never lose a single competition. You know why? Because with single language C, I can write high level and low level code. It was fabulous. Maybe in future I will share more about those projects. But for now, let's jump to the second question. I learned Python. Now what next? Before I answer this question, let me share one other important thing. Very soon I'm going to start community newsletter with only one purpose, to add more value. And for that, I have added a link just below in the video. See, this is all about community newsletter. I will share more details in future. But for now, I will encourage you to ask as many questions as you have. This platform is just for you, so just use it. Now let's go back to the question. I learned Python, now what next? I will say it's a great start. If you have already learned Python, you are already ahead of the game. You are ahead of those people who are still thinking to learn. And now I encourage you to create a GitHub repository. It's free. Once you have a GitHub account, start working on small projects and then push your code there. This is really, really important. And yes, if you're struggling with Git or GitHub, let me know. I will create a video which will guide you the best practices and how to use a platform like GitHub effectively. The idea behind creating some small programs and pushing your code to GitHub is to increase visibility. Trust me, you will be ahead of others when you start looking for a job. Now let's jump to the third question. It's also one interesting one. I want to crack Google Summer of Code next year. Please give me a roadmap. Here I will give you a framework called SCOPE. Just remember the SCOPE technique for Google Summer of Code. And here the S stands for study the language. This is the first step. Choose and become master in any single language. And then collaborate using Git and GitHub. It is really important to understand Git and GitHub It will help you throughout your career in IT. And then O in scope technique stands for observe open source projects. Go to the Google Summer of Code website, look for a section of view projects. This section typically includes information about the projects completed in each year of the program. It's really helpful. And the P stands for pick an organization early. Research organizations that have participated in Google Summer of Code and align with your skills and interests. And finally, E of scope technique stands for engage and execute. Engage with the community and execute a strong proposal. Hope it helps. Now let's jump to the next question. How many hours a day should I practice? To be honest, it really depends on your goal. But I will encourage everyone start small. At least 30 minutes every day. I think here, not the time, but the consistency that matters most. You have to be consistent every single day. If you start today and then take the rest of the week as off, then it's not gonna work. Remember these lines. Your future is not written yet. You have to write it. So, write beautifully.